Hey guys, my name is Isaiah. I'm a six-figure shoe seller. My wife and I decided to create the series in order to document our journey as we ascend a ladder towards financial freedom. So, I want to make a video today talking about last week, which would be for us, I think the 12th, no, the 19th through the 25th of February. And we're just going to talk about sales, targets, as well as like what we're aiming for as we're getting closer and closer into stage 2 of our financial freedom journey. So let me get my screen share going so I can show y'all a little bit of credentials, and then we'll go from there. All right, here we go. All right, so number one, we did about $3,900 in sales last week. So I usually do my weeks from Monday to Saturday, but you can do whichever way you want to. Our net sales, which is basically just what I like to refer to as cash flow, or the amount that eBay paid me, was a little bit under $2,100. We sold about 166 items, and our average sale price was around $24. Now, let's go into our things. So our target, as always, was $1,628, and based off of our cash flow average, which is simply taking the amount of cash flow we had divided by the number of items we sold, that tells us our cash flow average was about $12.64, and our amount of pairs that we needed to sell based on that was 129 pairs. Like I said, we sold 166 pairs, so we are above that number, which is pretty good. Hours worked were a little bit lower than last week. I think last week we worked 73 hours. It was 67 hours this week. Well, during that week from the 19th to the 25th. That's okay. I really want to get back down to like 50 hours a week, 55 hours a week. Yeah, it's just I was just feeling so exhausted after working that 70-hour week, and I personally don't enjoy it. Now, inside of that, of course, there's a bunch of other things that are going on. It's not like I'm like nose to the grindstone for 67 hours straight, but when you work a 7-day week compared to a 5-day week, then your hours are going to inflate a little bit more. Our items listed was 120, which is probably going to be a bit of a vulnerability for us. As you can see, like our number of listed items is going down a little bit. Let me see where we're at. This was 160 items the previous week, and now we're at 120 items. With the amount of items that we're selling per day, 166 divided by 7 is, we're selling like 23, almost 24 items a day. So with us selling that many items and only listing enough to do a bit over 15, our store is going to start shrinking substantially, which is going to cause our sales to follow that same trend. The split this week was between shoes and clothing. I think. Oh, so what happened this week was I lost my supplier, so and I wasn't able to get the quantity of shoes that I was looking for, so I just had to process a good bit of my clothing, which is fine. I have a ton of clothing that I need to process. I know I've said this last week that I was going to process all of it, but I wasn't feeling it. I just wasn't feeling like dealing with it, unfortunately. So I did 90 shoes and 30 clothing. This week is probably going to be substantially more. I need to get through a significant amount of my clothing while also busting through a bunch of shoes because I have a lot of shoes on hand right now. I think last week we got like 170, 180 items on the shoe side, and then like 60 or 70 clothing pieces. So, and that's on top of the 100 clothing pieces we already had. So, we need to bust through, at least, 70, 80 to 100 pieces of clothing, and then at the same time try to bust through our regular 120 to 140 pieces of shoes. That way we can hit our profit per item that we're looking for. And then finally, did we hit our cash flow target? Like I said, the target was 1628. We did 2098, which puts us over about $470. The efficiency metric is $31.28 of cash flow earned per hour. Here's the problem. Leakage was ridiculous last week. Now, I fussed about this when I saw how high our leakage was, but then I realized that our power was out for 2 days, which, definitely a struggle. That made things a lot harder for us. And then we had several situations come up last week that made it so that we weren't in our regular mix. We also, because our power was off, we had to throw away a bunch of food that we had already purchased. So I I gave some passes. I'm like, all right, cool. We weren't just losing our minds. We were a victim of circumstances, all right? But total, we spent about $422.20 on just stuff. This isn't like all food. This is several other things too. But to spend 422, like that's on track to do like almost $2,000 a month in expenditure, which is ridiculous. Now, again, it's very unlikely for us to have a week like that again,
Yeah.
but I don't I don't love it, and I want to make sure that we get that back
How
into
much did we make over? You said 400
70.
and we spent how much?
422. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's not.
Terrible.
Yeah, not. Now here's the thing. Technically, inside of our 1620, I mean 1628, that's not all just like bills. There's other stuff in
Right.
there as well. That
Right.
includes us being able to go, because I don't want to live my life where I can't go to Sonic if I want to. Like, there's people who do that. That's fine. But if I want to go to Sonic, I don't want to be like, ah, man, I don't have the ability to ever go there. I can only ever eat beans and rice. That's not necessarily what I'm aiming for. But if that's the reality that we have to live, then that's the one we have to live, because we can't be spending $422 a week. We also did like a laundry service last week as well. So without the laundry service, we was at 352. And Isaiah did a really interesting trip yesterday. I think was that yesterday that we went to QT with the big
Yeah, it
trip.
was yesterday.
Yeah, but I got stuff for like 2 weeks, right? So, and it was $50 all in. It was like a mini grocery trip. So if you take that out, we're at 302. So 302 is, although it is indeed higher than where we were last week, which was 270 something, I think. Where's the week? No, the week before that, 278. It was higher, but not by that much. So we can rock on with that.
Well, hope our lights don't go out again.
No, we're not hoping. If our lights go out again, we're just gonna either starve or figure it out.
Quit.
So our plan for the next week is pretty straightforward. Number one is going to be addressing the overspending. I want to control our leakage so we can spend no more than about 150 to $200 on auxiliary shenanigans. Like, I don't want to spend more than 150 to 200 when I come back to you guys next week. That's it. Like, that is the goal. If I come back here spending more than 150 to 200, we have significant problems. Number two, I want our output to be a lot heavier because we have so much inventory on hand. I want to be going through about 20 to 25 shoes a day, and then ideally about 10 to 20 clothing pieces a day, so that we can put a significant dent in the amount of stuff that we have. We have a lot of stuff, a lot of money that we can, well, a lot of items that we can turn into money, and we won't be able to do that as long as it's sitting in its bags waiting to get listed. So the mission is going to be take these shoe pieces, try to turn those into money as quickly as possible, and then of course this clothing that's sitting here, turn that into money as quickly as possible as well. And then finally, I want us to begin the preparations for stage two. If you guys don't remember, stage one was getting to the point where we can pay our bills, and we are consistently getting over our cash flow metric that we need to hit. So I want us to start getting to the point where we're ready for stage two, because we set it so that in September of 2024, we want to have our month of savings already there, which means like a month of like emergency expenses. So if we want to do that, then ideally, is it really a month? That makes no sense. Is it a month? I think it's a month.
It's a month, yeah.
It's a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, it says cover a month of, yeah, it's a month. All right. And then it's going to be high interest debts and stuff. So I want to put us in a position where we're able to save. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get the screen to focus. There we go. I want us to be in a position where we have enough to save a month of our expenses, and then after doing that, we can start knocking out these debts a lot more heavily. What that looks like for us is going to be saving roughly $17 a day as a daily habit. And to do that, all I need to do is just open up an additional account for that $17 to go into, and then begin the saving, probably starting tomorrow. So tomorrow, my goal is going to be to open up that account, begin saving, and then we can rock and roll from there. If you're wondering, how'd you get $17 a day? I made this over here to the side to show you guys how it works. It really depends on how much you're trying to save within a month, and then how many months you have to save that amount. So let's say if you guys needed to save $2,500 to clear your stage two, then you would need, if you had to save $2,500 in 1 month, then you would need to be saving $581 a week, or about $83 a day, which is tough. A lot of people don't have the money necessary to be saving $83 every single day. So if you had 3 months to hit that same number, then you go from $83 a day to $28 a day, because it's spread over a larger period of time. And then finally, if you had 7 months to do the same thing that you wanted to do in 1 month, then you only need to save $12 a day. in order to hit your goal. So all you have to do in order to get these numbers is how much do we need to save for our emergency fund? You say it's $3,000. You take your 3,000. You're going to divide it by the amount of time you have. If it's 1 month, 3 months, 7 months, 1 year, whatever it is, you divide it by that period of time. You divide that dollar amount by 4.3 to represent the average numbers of weeks per month, and then finally divide that by 7 and figure out what you need to do per day. Or you can just take this number, which is the monthly number, and then divide that by like 30 days or so, and you'll get the same thing as this bottom number. So that's going to be our target going into next week. Is just control the leakage. Don't spend more than $150 to $200 on bull crap. Make sure our output is good and maintain our consistency so we can ensure that we're generating the amount of money we need to be making. And then finally, ensure that we're saving about $17 a day so we can have this habit already in our back pocket as we're getting closer and closer towards stage 2. So I greatly appreciate you guys. Hopefully provide us value to you, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.